All right, we are live.
Okay, well, good morning, and I'm going to say board members and staff. I just want to welcome you to the Middlesex County Library Board meeting for January 29th, 2021. And I'm going to open it up by calling for provisions of disclosure of pecuniary interest or any general nature thereof. Seeing none, we'll move to minutes of the library board meeting held February 15th, 2020. Is there any questions or comments with respect to those minutes? Ruth?
I think I got left off the attendance roster.
How can that happen?
I don't know.
Double check.
I was definitely there because I made motions and seconded them. So I read it like 3 times. Okay, that was my comment.
Okay, so then we'll have it amended so that it shows you. And then I look for a motion to approve them as presented, the amended with the amendment. Moved by Brad, seconded by Ruth. Further comments?
There you go. She's going to be in next time now too.
Yep. Okay, make sure.
Ruth, we do that. I don't know if you know that. Kathy does it every once in a while. It's a little bit of a test to make sure you read the minutes. Sure.
Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Next, we'll deal with our visiting topic, learning, Winter Learning 2020, and Shauna and Liz are going to lead us through this area. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to find the presentation. When I tested sharing it, it was here, and now it's disappeared from my screen. So just a second. This is my problem.
Chris does have it.
Yeah. Let me reopen it. Just a sec.
I can share it if you need me to, Lindsay.
There we go. I
Okay.
got it. Sorry about that. Okay. Can everyone see this now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll turn it over to Shauna and Liz.
All right, so we're here today. We're going to share about the Winter Learning Program that we're going to launch here for 2020, and it's the first year we've done that. So the program will launches on February 15th and ends on March 27th. And this period includes Family Day and March Break, which are 2 of our key programming events throughout the year. So our participants, we have 4 groups, age groups that people can register for. So groups 2 to 6, 7 to 11, 12 to 17, and 18 plus. Nadine and the Early On team are partnered with us, and they're providing the activities and events for the 2 to 6 age group. At this time, with the provincial lockdown, we're not going to be able to provide any outdoor programming just yet because of the lockdown. And then the program, we've been promoting it on our social media and have a really positive response so far. And we've also sent it out with our very first library newsletter last week. And so registration opened on the 15th, and we're really excited about the response. In addition to the first welcome email that they're getting, we'll be emailing participants each Friday with the following week's activities. And next slide, please, Lindsay. So the purpose of the program is that we wanted to support families and adults throughout the winter break and the lockdown. We're tying in with traditional Family Day and March Break programs. And we want to do further library learning experiences despite the lockdown. So all of the programs are online, but we're providing supplies through our curbside pickup. And most of the programming is going to be planned for evenings and weekends to accommodate families who are doing online learning at this stage. So we're hoping to facilitate our patrons with some unique library learning experiences and promoting engaging activities during the lockdown. And I'll turn it over to Shauna to do the next part.
So each week, participants in all age groups will receive an activity guide similar to the ones that are displayed for you right now. So our Polar Bears at Play is for our 2 to 6 year olds, and this is the age group that the Early On team is providing some programs for. And then our Yeti Set Go program activity guide there is for our 7 to 11-year-olds. Overbooked is the name for our 12 to 17-year-olds. And then a novel bunch is the name for our 18+ participants. So the look and design of these activity guides has changed slightly since we created this presentation. And then in each box, there will be program information. So each week, there'll be 6 different activities that participants can choose to partake in. So some of these activities will be more passive, and then other ones they'll be required to register and participate on Zoom, for example. So we also brought back badges. We've used these in previous summer reading programs. So participants will receive all of their badges before the program starts at curbside pickup, and they'll be in individual envelopes. So it will be sort of like an Advent style where each week they'll be able to open up an envelope and learn how they can earn their badge for that week. So you'll see on the Yeti activity guide, it says earn a Yeti badge. So for the first week for our 7 to 11-year-olds, they'll be earning their badge just by registering for the program. So they'll be able to open up their envelope and then add their first badge to their chain. Next slide, please. For our 2 to 6-year-olds, like Liz mentioned, the Early On team is doing the majority of the programming for this age group. We also did invite our storytime facilitators for our library branches to create some pre-recorded story times that will be included for this age group as well. And they're very excited to be able to connect with families again. So Family Day is our first day of programming. So the Early On team is doing some Zoom kickoff events for that day. They'll also be doing a weekly bedtime story time. And these books will be focused on the week's theme. So they're doing 6 different themes through the course of this program. The themes are snow and ice, winter sports, local winter animals, winter birds, winter weather, and Arctic animals. They're also doing a series of pre-recorded circle times and virtual experiences. And they've created some scavenger hunts and literacy activities as well. Next slide. For our 7 to 11-year-olds, originally we were going to do a virtual baking program, but we actually switched this to our 12 to 17-year-olds. We're doing a DIY colorful pasta program instead for this age group. We're bringing back our family trivia night, which was one of our most popular programs that we ran through the summer. So we'll be inviting families to join us every Thursday evening to do some live family trivia on Zoom. And participants will have the chance to earn some prizes as well. We have a fossil, mineral, and rock dig program planned. So participants will be getting a plaster brick in advance of the program, and then they'll have to learn how to dig the fossil out and learn more about what fossils and minerals are. And we're also doing some family craft sessions. Our first one will be on Family Day. We do also have a Paint With Me program scheduled for this age group as well, and a mindfulness art workshop. Next slide, please. For our 12 to 17-year-olds, we have a paint night story with Indigenous artist Moses Lenham planned. So participants will receive canvas, paint, and paintbrushes, and they'll be able to paint along with him as he instructs them on Zoom. We will be doing our second launch of the loot boxes. So this is something that we started in December and January. So for this age group, we invited participants to register and let us know what their reading preferences are. And myself and another staff member, we chose 2 books for each participant as a surprise. We put them in one of our lib loot boxes. So this was the lib part. And then the loot part was, we included some freebie items for them to enjoy as well. So items like popcorn, hot chocolate, socks, and cookie recipes. So they were able to pick up these boxes in the beginning of the month. And then we're going to do our second box, they'll be able to register in February and pick up their box in March. So our first launch, we had 40 participants. So we're really hoping to up it to at least 50 participants for our next box, which will have a kind of a self-care mental health theme to it. We have a doll head planters program plan. So this is essentially what it says. They'll be learning how to make a planter for a succulent using a doll head. And some of our staff are also working on a digital escape room for this age group as well. Next slide, please. Take it away, Liz.
Right. So winter learning programming for the 18 plus, we've started with a few activities that have been going really well, which is our adult craft night. We've had success with that since October, but we're going to offer additional sessions to open it up to more people, and we're going to try out an afternoon one as well. Our creative library staff have really put together some great ideas. So we have programs such as Preserve Your Memories, Fiber Arts, Classic Film Nights, an Introduction to History. And the film viewing party, they'll watch it using Canopy, our new resource, and then meet on the Monday evening to discuss the book and or the movie and what they thought. We are also going to have quiz nights are coming back. They're going to be a little bit different. The Sunday one has started already, where it's multiple rounds of questions each. And then we're going to, on Tuesday nights, it'll be a mix of quiz replays and some new formats and ideas we're testing just to change it up a little bit. But so all of our fans of the Trip Quiz Nights still have a chance to participate, but it's a little bit different. We're excited to have Gail Barker. She's from Stellar Coaching. She's going to provide a session on Stop the Glorification of Busy, which will hopefully reset and do some mindfulness for participants. And finally, we're going to be doing Feature Fridays. And this is for the adults. We'll have them interact with our resources. So the current ones that we've had for a while, such as Creative Bug, but also promoting new ones such as Access 360 that we've just launched. And so they'll be set some challenges and ideas, and they'll go through those resources to complete their challenge. Next slide, please.
So like we mentioned earlier, participants will be able to earn badges each week. So this is specifically for our ages 2 to 11 participants. For our 18 plus participants, they'll be able to earn a ballot for each event that they participate in over the course of the 6 weeks. We'll be purchasing some prizes from local Middlesex County businesses for all 4 age groups. So our younger age groups will be doing weekly prize draws, and then for our adults, we'll be doing monthly prize draws. And we will also be providing program supplies at curbside pickup in advance of the beginning of the program to support programming. As of right now, we have 163 participants who are registered, and we just opened up registration on Friday. So we still have 2 full weeks open before we close it on January the 29th. And that's everything.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments with respect to this this program? Okay, well, good luck with it. I guess when we've done it before, like 163, is that a good response for the first couple days?
I think it's a great number, and especially compared to participation in the virtual summer reading program.
Right.
You know, to have that many right off the bat for a new program, we don't usually run something like this in the winter. So I think that's great response in just a few days, and it really shows how many people are following us on Facebook and that level of interaction that we're getting there. I think it's a great number.
Good. Okay. Well, hope it goes well for us. I guess Family Day is a big day because everybody's involved that day. But okay, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to item B, which is action items, and there are none today. Next, we'll go to item C, which is correspondence. If anybody's got any questions with it, I know Nadine wants to comment on 6, and we'll get an update on 7 and 8 from Lindsay. But if we could go through the correspondence and information items C1 is system resource and system internet usage statistics, December 2020. Next is our accounts payable for January 8, 2021, totaling $250,438.63. This is curbside pickup and computer appointments. Item 3. Item 4 is our virtual program participation to December 2020. Item 5 is a social media activity to December 2020. Next is our early on update, September to December 2020. And did you want to comment on this, Nadine?
Yeah, there's a lot in there. I was just reviewing it this morning. So it was a busy going through all that. That was a very, certainly a very busy year, not to glorify busy, but just the nature of having to shift focus for our team was really, really challenging, but the team was very, very adaptable. Shifting from the virtual programming, the self-directed programming that we're doing, like the story walks and other things like that, to the in-person, both outdoor and indoor, had a lot to consider. The outdoor programs were very successful. We had certainly larger participation in our outdoor programs as opposed to our indoor. We don't have the answers for that. I think a little bit of that had to do with just some concerns with being indoor for families. Also, our indoor programs were very different from what we previously offered. So in the past, we would have that drop-in program where children could explore the play space. And with the new guidelines from the province, we weren't allowed to offer that type of opportunity when we had to do pre-registration, which I think was different for people. And 2, we had to set up play pods. So each play pod was distanced from the other family, and children were encouraged to stay within their play pod and play with the materials that we provided. For some families, I would say for most families, that was, they very much enjoyed it. They were very adaptable to the new format, where other children really struggled to stay in their play pods, and that was pretty stressful for those families. And completely, we understand this type of setup is certainly not in line with the principles of how children learn. But we would try to do the best that we could with the current circumstances. So we offered a plethora of different outdoor programs, some that were more facilitator directed, some that were just exploration through local trails, others that were just nature-based child-led activities, and those were really, really popular. Indoor programs were as well. We started with just 2 locations. We did Strathroy effective October 1st, and then we commenced in Ilderton in December. December then shifted focus again when we moved into the red zone, and so we had to go. So typically what we were offering is 4 families could register. We offer 2 programs in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And those did fill up those spaces. And then when we moved into red, we had to shift to just 2 families per session. So through that time, we continued to offer virtual programs, but we certainly saw a reduction in the level of participation in virtual programs. I might have mentioned in our last meeting, I think there was a combination of people being a little Zoom fatigued, as well as once a lot of those restrictions opened up and people were able to be outdoors, I think that was the preference, is to be away from their computers. And I think that there's merit to that. So but we continue to offer virtual programs through that time. A couple of things I just wanted to highlight: the story walks. So Sean and I worked very closely on that. I feel like we talked a little bit about this at a previous session. But those were so well received in the community. So we offered story walks in 8 different locations across the county, and we featured 2 books. So we'd offer the book in one location for 2 weeks, and then we'd shift to another book. Very well received. It was a lot of work for Shauna and I and our team to have to put that program together. Not complaining, because it was certainly worth it, but what we're looking at now is how can we take the success of that program and move it forward. So we're doing a little bit of exploration in the back end into some more permanent structures. So things like either wood or metal stands or metal frames. They are a little costly. So we just have to take a look at, what can we afford from our operating budget? What can we maybe apply for funding for? And then just start to work in communities that were certainly of interest. And I look at you, Warden. Lucan was so enthusiastic. Both Lucan and Granton were very enthusiastic about that project. So I certainly think if we can acquire some funding to get a story walk up in that community, it would be great. Just to end, the last thing we did in 2020, and this was new for and I would have to say a lot of what we're doing is very new for our team, but we did a holiday project in December, and that was hugely successful. We had over 100 families, and we could have had more, but we had to cap it because we only purchased supplies for 100 children. So similar to what Shauna was talking about, we put together a cute little gift box, and in that gift box was a number of different supplies and materials. There was a storybook, hot chocolate, popcorn, things like that. And they all corresponded with 12 different family favorite activities. So we did a 12-day countdown of family time favorites. So the early on team got creative and put together some cute little videos. And then within the box was supplies and materials to support each of those family time activities. And yeah, so hugely successful. Lots of participation. I think, it was really at a time when people were saddened by all the restrictions that we were entering into for Christmas. They were delighted to have something, all these great activities to do. So certainly going to look at how we could potentially budget that in for 2021 as well. So at this point, Sean mentioned right now, we're on a break from in-person. And I have to say it's a nice little break from that, but we're certainly ready to gear up for either indoor or outdoor when we can. We had a huge, a full schedule of indoor and outdoor planned. And then when the lockdown was announced, we shifted to fully virtual. So we have lots of virtual programs happening right now, and the participation is grand. So back to where we were in the beginning in March and April. So I think people are really looking for ways to connect. As well as we're busily working away on that winter learning program and starting to think of things that we can do virtually come the spring if we have to be in this position. We will continue to offer virtual programs. It's just we have to be ready to shift to either more or less depending on the workload for in-person. So that's that.
Okay.
Any questions?
Is there any questions? Warden Burkhart or Kathy?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair, and through you to Nadine. Yes, no question. Lucan and Granton love that story time walk. And I guess I'm thinking where are you looking for funding from? Because it would be great to have something like this, for spring and summer when, people are ready to get out, and I can see probably this year it even having more uptake from other communities where maybe perhaps there wasn't, only because we've been so isolated for so long. And it's a tight turnaround, but I guess I'm thinking, I'm trying to think out of the box as to where you could get funding from. And I'm wondering even to go through OMAFRA, through the RED program, and kind of doing an economic development spin on it. I mean, I know Lisa's putting one in Lucan right now, but just even doing something jointly with maybe a municipality, because just to try to be creative and trying to get some funding. That's, I guess, what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we certainly have tabled the idea of service clubs, that could be an avenue that we could approach service clubs about. Yeah, I think I welcome any ideas. That's the only one that we have on the table right now that we've discussed. So it's just a matter, I have the quote and I have an estimate cost for what it would be for each location. So it's just a matter of putting together some sort of package and approaching, whether it's a grant or a service club and proceeding from there.
the other thing might be to consider, since it's in a park and it's, a walkable community, or you're trying to make your community walkable, even something from like sports and tourism or something. I think there's a lot of, you could be creative in how you look for things. There's just my 2 cents.
No, thank you.
Good. I go to Ruth and then Cindy.
If I can also just comment, when this past summer, when we were walking with I was walking with my grandchildren at Morrison Dam near Exeter, they had story signs all the way through their path, and my grandchildren absolutely loved it. They live in Ilderton. I don't know. I would think any area with a park or some type of walking trail, it would really work. And I'm wondering, as Kathy said, maybe even service clubs, there's got to be funding out there. It's just finding it. It's such a good idea.
That's
Thank
it is.
you.
Cindy?
Thanks, through the chair. I was just going to point out that I'll work with Nadine and also talk to Kara from Economic Development in regards to the red. And I'll also look into our COVID dollars to see if something like that could apply. So,
thanks, Cindy.
Good. Any other questions or comments then with Nadine in that report? Okay. Thank you for the input. Now we'll move on to early on capital projects, a verbal update from Lindsay. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the group. So building on Nadine's report, just an update on our early on capital projects. So as Nadine pointed out, the Ilderton project, it did wrap up in December, and we were able to start in-person programming there. Obviously taking a break from that, and also our plans for the ribbon cutting ceremony are on hold for the time being. So we'll circle back to that. It might be something that we hold later in the spring or in the summer when we can safely have those events again, but we'll keep you updated as those plans develop. And Nadine is working with her team on kind of the finishing touches on the space. So getting signage up, really, prettying up the place. So there are photos that are going on the wall and different items that are going to spruce up the center there. And once that's complete, then we're going to create a virtual tour of the space. And so I think we'll likely have that finished by our March meeting. And if it's done earlier, I can get it out to you as well, so that you can experience the space that way until we can get you in there in person. So we're going to work on that. And then looking at the Strathroy project. So we're in the construction phase of that early on child and family center. We are able to continue with the construction during the stay-at-home order and this lockdown period. So that was great news. And work is progressing well, both at the library and the work that's being done at the library headquarters building, kind of separate from the early on project, but happening at the same time. So things are going well there, and we're just making plans for those spaces. So working out furniture layout and shelving layout and all of those things. For the time being, the Strathroy curbside pickup service has moved to library office, and we've actually had to shadow, so hide the Strathroy collection. So that impacts patrons a little bit, but it's only going to be for a few months, just so that staff aren't lugging those, hundreds of books back and forth basically every day between the construction areas and library office. So that'll be how we're running things until likely until the end of March. Things are on schedule at this point, so we're excited with the progress so far.
Good. Well, we're definitely pleased to hear they're on schedule with that date, the end of March looming and creeping up on us, but that's good news. So any questions with respect to our early on projects? Okay, saying none, we'll move on to the OLA Super Conference 2021 session information. Lindsay, you want to comment on that? You sent a part of it on the report.
Yeah, so what's in the agenda is just a little synopsis of a few items that may be of interest to some of you when you want to attend virtually. We haven't, at least I haven't received any information yet from OLA about logging in, about setting up our individual schedules. That should be coming out, within the next week or two. So that will let you, kind of register for sessions, get your schedule set up, get a better understanding of what's happening. But I'll keep an eye on when that information comes out to make sure that we're all ready for February 3rd when it starts. But basically the one pager that's in the agenda just highlights the keynote speakers. So you have Anna Maria Tremonti from CPC starting it off on February 3rd, and then other keynote speakers there. And then I just listed a few potential sessions that you might be interested in attending. So the first four are on general library topics. And then February 6th, they're still running the Library Board Boot Camp program. So that's the Saturday. So those would be the sessions that you would get that pertain most closely to your role. And so I'll be participating in those as well. But if you have any questions, you can, there's a link there to look at the full schedule. If you're not sure about a session, if you want some more information, have any questions, just let me know. But things should be ready to go there for that February 3rd start.
Okay, so then just a couple quick questions. So we're all registered, right? Because there was a bulk registration. So then if we the OLA to individual, the way you see it, with the OLA to be able to book that, and instead of through you.
Sorry, I lost you for a little
Jim,
bit.
you broke up a little bit there. Just go ask the question.
I know.
Again.
I just had my thing come up saying my internet was disconnected. I got a little problem here with it, and it's supposed to be a lot better than what it used to be. But so we'll book ourselves on the program when they send us out a link, because we're all booked to it, and then we'll do that ourselves. And then if we want to add different ones than what you've got on there, we can just go on there and do it, because we're paid for the full conference, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can attend as many sessions as you want. What you'll receive from OLA is basically information about registering, like logging, like signing up for an account. And then from there, you'll be able to just choose all your sessions that you want to attend. And then if you can't make something, if you're busy those days, you have access to all the content for 6 months. So there's flexibility there too.
Right. Okay, because that's coming up quickly. So, okay. Any questions then with respect to the conference? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to item. What I'm looking for is a motion to move and second it, that item C1 through library to C8 through library be received for information.
So moved.
Moved by Mary Gay, seconded by Brad Richards. Any further comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any inquiries? Okay, seeing none, under new business, it shows when our next meeting is in March, and it shows. Is there any other questions or comments then with respect to that? Then we'll move on to a confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Middlesex County Library Board for January 19th, 2021. I look for first and second reader of that to confirm that bylaw. Moved by Warden Kathy Burkhardt Jessup, seconded by Mary Gay Wilkins. All in favor? That's carried. I look for third and final reading, confirmatory bylaw be given. Ruth and Brad. Did you get that, Kathy? Okay. All in favor? That's carried. I look, if there's no other business, I look for a motion of adjournment. Moved by Warden Kathy Burkhardt Jessup and seconded by Ruth Adams. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.